Hey friends, got another fire and nice session planned for you today. 50-50 core strength and self-massage. For the self-massage portion of the class, you're gonna need 2 therapy balls tethered together. So you can put 2 tennis balls in a tube sock and tie it off. You can also put 2 racket balls in a tube sock and tie it off. If you really just only have 1 ball, that's fine. Just bring your 1 ball and we'll make it work. Also, a block and a blanket. Okay, here we go. Let's get started. Come into all fours. Spread your fingers wide so you can see the ground in between each finger. And let's start out with our pelvis. So we're gonna go ahead and lift the sit bones towards the ceiling. And then as we exhale, scoop the tailbone under. So you're gonna pull your pubic bone towards your navel. Inhale, lift your sit bones. Exhale, pubic bone toward the navel, tucking under. So we are gonna continue like this with the breath. And notice that my ribs and the rest of my spine are not moving. I'm just tilting my pelvis. As you exhale and tuck, pull your navel towards your spine to start heating things up. And here's where we get to have some fun. So you're gonna imagine that there is a pencil on the tip of your tailbone, and you're gonna try to draw some circles with your tailbone, some pelvic circles. So you're gonna have to tune in to your inner Shakira, your inner Ricky Martin, whoever you identify with more closely, or maybe it's your Elvis pelvis. You know, whatever image helps you. Just making some circles, so stirring with the pelvis, but keeping the thigh bones vertical. Okay, reverse, reverse, other direction. You can make these quick circles or slow circles, it's your call. Noticing as you go if it's easier to go in one direction than the other. Getting everything kind of heated up, stirred up here in our tummies and pelvises. For 3, 2, and 1. Take a moment, get off your hands, curl your toes under, shift your weight back towards your heels. Okay, give a little press through your toes. Press, press, press. A little subtle movement. You can't really see much from the outside of what's going on, but your toes are working, pressing through the toes. And then from here, let's go ahead and walk back out to all fours. You can put the tops of your feet on the ground, give them a little tap and pat here. Okay, now that pencil is back on your tailbone, and this time we're gonna make figure 8s. Can you make a figure 8 with your tailbone? Pelvic 8s, maybe that's what we'll call them. So this might be kind of like a mental exercise for you. It might take a moment to figure out how to do that. Notice if the figure 8 that you're drawing is smooth, or if the line, if it appeared on paper, would be kind of jagged and jumpy. I'm pretty sure that I think mine would look kind of like a toddler drew it. So do your best. And then here's the fun part. Can you reverse your figure 8? Think about it, make it happen. There we go. Again, really just keeping the rest of the body in the stable table position and just heating up the low tummy and around in the pelvis. At some point here, I think I did reverse, but then I reversed again to go back to the more habitual way. Notice if that happens too. It's all good. Okay, go ahead and stop, shake it out, shake your tush, curl your toes under again, shift your hips back, walk your hands back. If you want to sit all the way up, you could sit all the way up. Wherever you're at, push your toes into the ground. You're like, Jen, what in the world? This isn't my core. But actually, your feet have a lot to do with your core. We don't have time to get into it in this video, but just know your feet have a lot to do with your core. So we're giving them some love here too. Okay, let's bring it back out with our hands on the ground, wrists under shoulders. And then from here, we're gonna go ahead and step left foot back and right foot back, coming into a plank. Now, if this feels too difficult for you, just keep your knees down on the ground, and you can do this next part with the knees down in low plank. So here, go ahead and hike your right hip up towards your right shoulder, and then you're gonna switch and hike your left hip up towards your left shoulder. So you're alternating here. And you can go as quickly or as slowly as you like. Whatever tempo would feel appropriate for your body today. Keep breathing. Hike, hike, hike. For 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and drop your knees if they're not down already. And go ahead and reach for your block. We're gonna come down to the belly. So this is gonna be a nice challenge for me because I have a heavy block. If you have a foam block instead of a cork block, you are gonna be having an easier time than me right now. So do what you need to do to get this block in between your feet. And if you don't have a block, a ball, a squishy ball would work too. And then you can either keep your head up or you can rest your forehead down on the ground. Whatever is your choice, whatever feels most good, whatever feels most good to you. Take a moment to tune into your pelvis and make sure that you don't have one hip higher up towards the shoulder. We're done hip hiking. Let your pelvis be level, your hips be level with one another. Okay, so you're gonna take a breath in, and then as you exhale, squeeze that block in between your feet. Inhale to relax the effort. Exhale, squeeze that block. Inhale to relax. Exhale to squeeze. Inhale to relax. Exhale to squeeze. Keep going that way. And so see if you can do the squeeze without squeezing your tush. So part of your core is in your back. Part of your core is in your hips and in your pelvis. It's not just in your tummy. And so you can, we're still squeezing here, by the way. I know it might not look like it, but we are. So you can feel, actually, if you bring your hands around to the bottom of your spine, right above your pelvis, and if you can find where your spine is and then just come slightly apart, bring your fingers slightly apart so they're just to one side of the spine, each on one side of the spine. As you exhale and squeeze the block, maybe you can feel those back muscles kind of jump or activate with the squeeze. Again, these are small moves. Still going with your breath. For 3, 2, last one, and 1. Okay, you can drop your block very dramatically if you want, or you can be less dramatic about it and pick it up and put it off to the side. Keep your knees bent up in the air and then drop your legs from side to side. Drop your mermaid tail from side to side. You can have your head resting down, or you can keep your head up, whatever feels most comfortable. This is telling me that my hips are a little sore. If you want to stay over on one side for a moment, take a breath, enjoy, and then swing your mermaid tail over to the other side. Enjoy. Okay. Come back to center. Go ahead and extend your legs, tops of the feet down on the ground, and keep your legs straight, strong. And then you're going to, again, bring your head down to your hands. So you have your forehead resting on the backs of your hands. And then as you inhale, you're going to prepare. As you exhale, you're going to lift your head and your arms away from the ground, any amount. Keep your feet down. Inhale to lower. Exhale to lift. Inhale to lower. Exhale to lift. So working on the back core here. Going at the pace of your own breath. Hopefully, as you're exhaling, you're not only feeling the activation of the muscles on the back side of your body as you lift, but hopefully you can also sense that your abdominal core is engaging to help support you lift. For 3, 2, and 1. Last one. Relax. Take a breath in and out. Maybe rock your hips a little bit from side to side. And we're going to get ready to come back up onto our hands and our knees. So put your hands next to your sides, curl your toes under, use your knees, and as you exhale, push up. Okay, coming to all fours again. So a level 1 would be to keep your knees on the ground. To kick it up a notch, then you're going to want to lift your knees away from the ground so that your knees are hovering and your shins are parallel to the mat. So we're going to bring the left knee to the left wrist, left elbow, right wrist, and back to center. Then right knee moves. Let's do right elbow, right wrist, left elbow, and back to center. So keep going. If your knees are on the ground, you can, again, it's just going to look like this. Left knee to left elbow, left wrist, right elbow, and back to fours. Okay, so it doesn't matter if your knees are up or down, it's still hard. Right knee to right elbow, right wrist, left elbow. Left side, left knee to left elbow, left wrist, right elbow. And back, right side again. Oh, I crossed first, it's okay. Right knee to right elbow, right wrist, left elbow. Left side, left elbow, left wrist, right elbow. One more each way. Right knee to right elbow, right wrist, left elbow. Last one, left knee to left elbow, left wrist, right elbow. Gosh, that's so hard. Give your wrists a break. Drop down onto your forearms. Take a breath in and out. Maybe floss your shoulders back and forward here. Let go of tension in your neck. Okay, now go ahead and slither back out onto your belly. Put your hands on the ground underneath your shoulder joints. Take a breath in. As you exhale, press up. Inhale, coming back down. Exhale, pressing up into this little back bend, any amount, okay? But keep your pelvis on the ground. Inhale down. Exhale to lift. Inhale down. Exhale to lift. One more. Great. Okay. Now come back onto your forearms here. And let's interlace our fingers so we have kind of a triangular base. Elbows under shoulders. Catch your breath. Go ahead and curl your toes under. Now, you can use your knees to help you. If you want it to be more of a level 1, a level 2 would be to keep your knees lifted away from the ground. So take a breath in, and then as you exhale, lift up into a forearm plank. Okay, so maybe you're working it still. Maybe you're still and maybe your knees are up, maybe your knees are down. It's your call. If you feel like you can move here, try to keep your neck relaxed and dip your hips. So you're gonna dip right hip and left hip. Right hip and left hip. And go from side to side. Maybe you just do a little baby hip swivel if the full dip is too much. Keep breathing. For 3, 2, and 1. Drop your knees. Sit up. Take a break. Come onto your bottom. Okay. So have your feet out in front of you. I'm having fun. I hope you're having fun. But if you need to like curse me, you can. It's okay. So from here, you're gonna check in with your ribs. We want a mellow rib cage. Don't want your rib cage shining up. So keep your ribs down. And then from here, you're gonna lean your torso back, okay? And rest your hands on your thighs, okay? So take a breath in. Your tummy should already feel pretty engaged just here. Take a breath in, and then as you exhale, push with your hands. Inhale to relax that. Exhale, push with both hands into your legs. Inhale and push. And as you push with your hands, feel your navel draw back towards your spine. Inhale, relax the push, and exhale. Inhale to relax the push. Exhale. Again. So keep going. We're doing lots of what I like to call atomic moves. So atomic bombs are really big, right? But atoms are really small. And so these moves that we've been doing, some of them are really small and it doesn't even look like you're really doing anything. But boy, are you doing something. Two more. Last one. Great. Sit up. So from here, let's go ahead and take a little break. Rock back onto your forearms and just let your pelvis rock forward and backwards here. Let your tummy stay soft. Great. Now you can just flop on down to the ground. And if you have your blanket or pillow, it would be a good time to get that under your head and shoulders to help make sure that your rib cage is flush with your pelvis. So remember, you're gonna have to sense deeper, sense below than any lovable soft tissue down to your bone structure. Where is your bony rib cage? Where is your bony pelvis? You wanna make sure in your pelvis, your pubic bone, and your ASIS, that's that bony, pointy part of the front of your pelvis, those should be level. And then ribs should be level with that. Okay. From here, let's go ahead and walk the feet together. Okay, feet together. Now, we're gonna play around here so that everybody has a chance to try depending on whatever core level you're at, core fitness level you're at, okay? So level 1 is gonna be to lift your heels up and you're just lightly touching your toes to the ground, okay? That's level 1. Level 2 is the hook lie position. Now, when you come up into this hook lie position, your thighs are perpendicular to the ground and you have 90 degrees in your knees. You have some options. If you come up here and you feel like too much pressure on your tummy or on your pelvic floor, then one option to take it down a notch would be to back your knees in towards your torso a little bit, maintaining pelvic neutral. If, when you come into this hook lie position, you notice that your rib cage starts shining towards the ceiling instead of staying flush neutral, again, you can back it up by bringing your knees in a little bit, or you can bulk up the prop support under your shoulders and head so that you're curled up higher, and that's gonna help keep your ribs down. Your choice. I'm gonna show from the hook lie position, okay? And so what we'll do is we're maintaining like a really nice low level contraction in the core just to stabilize us here. And then you're gonna heel drop. So the right leg's gonna come out and extend and then come back to whatever your starting position is. So then the left leg goes out, touch your heel to the ground. And then right leg goes out, touch your heel to the ground. So keep going from side to side, and there's still a never-ending combination of possibilities on how you can customize this activity for your level. You know, if you're down here, you're moving like this. If your knees are into the chest closer, same thing. You're moving like this. Now, wherever you are, if extending your leg all the way out feels too challenging, like you cannot maintain your core stability, don't do it. Just go part way. Go halfway. So you should be able to breathe into your rib cage, taking a little bit of a shallower breath so that your tummy stays in that nice engaged state. For 3, 2, and 1. Okay, go ahead and put your feet down, open your knees into this relaxing butterfly position here. Take some big breaths into your tummy. And again. Okay, close your knees, and we're gonna take this and make it a little bit atomic. So you have options, okay? You can just have your starting position be both feet on the ground. You can also have your starting position be that hook lie position, okay? It's your choice, whichever you want to do. I'll start showing in this level 1, and then we can layer on to level 2 if it feels like you would like an extra challenge. So what you're going to do is you're going to pick your right leg up to 90 degrees, vertical thigh, okay? Left hand is going to come to the right thigh. You're going to take a breath in, and then as you exhale, you're going to push your hand into your leg and your leg back into your hand. And as you do that, hopefully you feel your navel draw down towards the ground, towards the spine, okay? And then you can inhale to switch, exhale to push. Inhale to switch, exhale to push. Inhale to switch, exhale to push. So if you're in, keep going, if you're in the hook lie position, you're just going to be keeping your legs up the whole time. So it might not look like you're doing much, but I mean, I'm shaking. I don't know if you are. Remember, with each push, it's a reciprocal push. So the leg is pushing and the hand is pushing. And it's an opportunity to draw the navel down, to draw the ribs down. For 3, 2, and 1. Great. Put your knees or put your feet down. Now from here, go ahead and lift your hips up just a bit, not a super big bridge, and then you're going to reach one knee far away. So we're getting a lot of length on the front of that hip. So I'm reaching my right knee really far forward, feeling some nice lengthening on the front of the right hip. Sometimes these core strengthening exercises where we're like moving the legs a lot can leave you sore right here on the fronts of your hips the next day. So you can keep this in mind. If you're feeling a little sore tomorrow, go ahead and go over to the other side. Getting nice and long here on the left. Great. Maybe shake it out a little bit because that's always fun. And then set your hips back down. Go ahead and give your knees a hug into your chest. Do a little rocking from side to side. And then from here, we're going to get ready for some massage. You've passed the fire section. Now it's time for the nice section. So let's go ahead and rock up to a seated position. So curl your head up, hold your legs in close, get your momentum, and rock up. Okay, so we're gonna start by massaging the legs, and then we'll work to the lower back and maybe up in between the shoulder blades a little bit. So grab your tethered balls. Now remember, if you just have one ball, you can still do this. The tethered balls might just be a little bit more comfortable, but just if you just have the one, you know, do what feels nice for your body. This is the nice section of class. So we're gonna start by giving a little nice love to our IT band on the left leg. So I'm gonna just get my right leg out of here. Wherever you want to put your right leg, get it out of the way. And I'm going to put the therapy balls perpendicular to my thigh bone, perpendicular to this IT band line. And so you have a lot of real estate between your knee and your thigh bone where the your hip joint where your thigh bone goes into your pelvis. There's a lot of squishy real estate there. So you can choose. Probably the nicest feeling place is going to be in the middle of that muscle belly. If you get a little too close to the knee, sometimes it might get a little too intense. Same thing up at the hip. It just starts to get a little bony up there maybe. So I'm going to externally rotate my leg so that my outer thigh is resting on these tethered balls. And then I'm going to just do this rocking motion forward and back, forward and back, forward and back. Very gentle to begin. You can think of this like a warm-up. And this place right here, your IT band, isn't actually like muscly in the way that your bicep is muscly. It's a more dense tissue. I've heard people say that it's like a leather strap. I've never actually held an IT band in my hand, so I can't tell you for sure. But it is definitely more dense. And as such, rolling motion doesn't always tend to be as effective as maybe a plant and hold. So here we're warming up, and then we're gonna hold. So go ahead and rock your weight forward. Now, if you wanna bring your hands to the ground, you can. If you want more pressure, keep your hands on your leg. And you're just gonna lean into that pressure from the therapy ball. Just try to relax tension in other places of your body. Enjoying some nice, deep, cleansing, relaxing breaths. Encouraging your body to feel safe. When your nervous system feels and senses that you're in a safe environment, it's so easy to relax. Go ahead and rock off and just move to a slightly different position. And you can play around. Maybe you come back to this pumping action to kind of test it out. I'm not really feeling a lot of interest here in this place, so I'm going to move to a different place. Okay, I found some interest here. The sensation is like, I need to be curious about this spot. So I'm going to adjust ever so slightly. I'm testing it out with the pumping motion, and then I know I'm in a nice, interesting spot, so I'm gonna lean forward and hold now, and I'm gonna soften my neck, I'm gonna soften my jaw, relax my tongue, all in an effort to say, you're safe, it's okay to let go. And so with the pressure that we're giving our bodies from the therapy balls, we want that pressure to feel safe also. We want that to feel good. It can be a hurt so good. It should not be a downright like, teeth gritting, eye squinting, grimacing kind of a feeling. Okay, and let's go ahead and rock back. And then from here, we're gonna work on the outer shin. So continuing down the outer leg to the outer shin, you're again gonna have the balls perpendicular to your bone. And so here, you can play around with a little rolling up and down, depending on your mobility and your hips, okay? You can also kind of do the same technique that we did the last time. So where you rock, and you kind of use the rock as a way to test out, is this an interesting spot? Do I need to plant and hold here and take some time, or can I move on? So for me, this spot isn't quite very interesting, so I'm gonna move to a different spot. There's a lovely spot If you can find this this bony knob on the outside of your shin, if you kind of come just above and in from that, there's some lovely squishy part right there that loves some pressure. So again, do your rocking until you can find a nice spot, an interesting spot. And then when you find that interesting spot, go ahead and plant and hold. So maybe hands on the ground and just leaning your torso forward gives you enough pressure that you feel good about it. I personally like a little bit more pressure, so I'm gonna rest my hands on my leg. If you have the mobility and you like the increase in pressure, you can also put a forearm down, okay? That's a little too much for me personally right here, so I'm gonna keep my hands on my knee. And then if you can, depending on how you're sitting and your mobility and your joints, you can try flexing and pointing your foot and notice how the muscle moves under the pressure of the ball. You can also try kind of like windshield wipering your foot a little bit. Now, of course, the ground is there, so you're not going to get it really good. It'll be just kind of a little rocking with your foot. Okay, and maybe you choose another spot to visit on your outer shin, giving a little rock to test it out. Yeah, this is a good spot. If you find another interesting spot, you can plant and hold. If you haven't found an interesting spot, that's fine. You can just rock your whole way, take a few rocks in one spot, and then move the therapy balls to a different spot. And you can rock the entire length of your outer shin from knee to ankle. Okay, let's go ahead and switch over to the other leg. So again, just get your left leg out of there, and we're gonna put the therapy balls so they're perpendicular to the thigh bone. And I'm gonna find a nice spot in the middle between my hip and my knee. And I'm again gonna explore that spot by rocking, testing to make sure, yeah, there's some interest here. So I'm gonna rock a little bit, kind of like pumping it, warming it up. And then I'm gonna ease into a hold. So again, you can have your hands on the ground. It's gonna be a little less pressure. Hands on your leg, a little bit more pressure. Forearm on your leg, even more pressure. And I'm noticing that as I hold here, I still am doing a little bit of rocking, a very, very small, maybe it's an atomic rock. I don't know if you can see it. So if it feels good to rock, you can rock. If it feels good to plant and hold, you can plant and hold. You're just using this time to be kind. Give yourself a little extra nice after the fire, the core fire. Okay, maybe you go explore, find a different spot of interest, move the ball to another spot and start pumping to test it out. Yeah, this one feels good right here. So I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna plant and hold. And again, especially when you're doing that plant and hold, take a moment to scan your body. Start with your face. Are you clenching your jaw? Are you scrunching up your forehead? Can you relax there? Can you relax in your shoulders? Can you relax your tush and your bottom? Let it all hang out. Okay. Yeah, that feels good. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and move down to my shin now. So remember, we're gonna go along the outer shin. The front of your shin is very hard and bony, one of the hardest places in your body. If you've ever played soccer and gotten kicked in the shin, you know that it doesn't feel very good. So we're not going for the bone, okay? We're not going for the bone. We're going right off to the side of the bone. And then you have your other shin bone over here on the side. So we're kind of getting in between those places, okay? There's that squishy part in between those places. Again, the balls are gonna go perpendicular to the shin, and you're gonna start saying hello with some rocking. Just giving your body a chance to see what's up, letting you kind of get into a comfortable spot of interest. And there is typically on most of us a spot of interest closer up towards the knee. So that's where I'm starting. I'm just gonna rock a little bit to get it going. And then I'm gonna hold, I'm gonna lean forward and hold. And this side can take a little bit more pressure for me personally. So I'm coming down to one forearm on my leg and I have the other hand on the ground. And then again, you can try moving your foot a little bit. Just playing around, exploring here. What happens to the sensation when I move my foot like this, when I point my toes? What happens to the sensation when I draw my toes back towards my shin? What happens to the sensation when I rock my foot like a windshield wiper movement? Getting very curious. And then you can relocate to another position. See if it's going to be interesting. That one's not too interesting. I'm going to go for another spot. And again, maybe you go the whole length of your outer shin and you don't feel a super interesting spot, and that is okay. You are still going to get some benefit by just rocking and applying that pressure all the way up the outer shin. Here's a good spot. If you find a spot that feels interesting, again, just rock forward and hang out for a minute. Breathe. You can explore the movement of your foot and notice how the sensation changes as you move your foot. Okay, let's go ahead and finish up with this. We're going to get ready to move to the back now. So before we lie down, I'm going to show you where we're going to put the therapy balls. So if you find the top of your pelvis, mine's right here, and then you find the bottom of your ribs, mine's right here. In between that spot, those spots on either side of the spine, there's some deep muscle that's about the width of 4 of your fingers, okay? And so we're gonna be focusing on that area, this like 4-finger width. So it's not on the spine, it's to either side of the spine, from the top of the pelvis up to the rib cage. And these are your hip hiker muscles. So remember in our plank when we did our hip hikes in the plank, so these will maybe appreciate getting a little bit of love. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna lie down on our back, and the therapy balls are gonna go straight up and down. They're parallel to your spine. Keep your block close by. If you want some cushion under your head, you can have that as well. So I'm gonna start by doing the right side here. I'm gonna lift my hips up, and I'm gonna place the therapy balls in that space between the pelvis and the ribs. And I'm gonna slowly give my pressure over to the balls. Okay, so if as we get going, this doesn't feel like enough pressure for you, you can always lift up a little bit higher, put the block on the ground, and then the balls go on top of the block, and then your back goes on top of that, okay? So I'll show that in just a moment, But to get started here, you can shift your hips from side to side. Oh, that feels so good. So this means that those therapy balls are going to be rolling away from the spine and in towards the spine, away from the spine and in towards the spine. So if you'd like to see what that feels like up a little bit higher, if you have the block and you want to use it, it's going to give a little bit more pressure, okay? You can stack the balls on the block, same position, okay? I've apparently found a squeaky spot in the floor. I don't know if you can hear that. Or maybe it's just the ball squeaking on the block. So again, if you find a spot of interest that hurts so good or just feels so good, hang out there for a moment, take a breath. Some other movements that you can play around with in this position, whether you're up on the block or you're flat down on the ground, you can play around with doing some atomic movements, micro movements with your pelvis, doing tiny pelvic tilts. You can also do some hip hikes, some tiny hip hikes. So I'm like hiking my right hip towards my right shoulder just a bit and then switching. And as I hike my left hip up towards my left shoulder, my right hip moves away from my right shoulder. So then we are working that area at a stretch. Okay. I would maybe not recommend this next option for if you're up on the block, but if you are still down here with just the therapy balls on the ground, you can also play around with pulling your right knee in towards your chest and seeing how that changes the sensation, okay? If your hips are on the ground, you can also windshield wiper your knees. So there's a lot of different things to play around with here. Take just another moment to enjoy. And again, if you find an interesting spot, hang out there. Take a nice sigh, let it go. Okay, let's get ready to go to the other side, but before we do, let's unpack this position. So if you're up on the block, take a breath in. As you exhale, slowly press into your feet to lift your hips just enough to unpack and take all that gear out from under you, and then let your body rest down on the ground and take a full breath in and out. Sense how your right side feels different from your left side. Oh, it feels so good. Okay, so we're gonna go over to the other side. So again, you're gonna take your therapy balls parallel to the spine, but not on the spine because that would not feel very good. So go ahead and lift your hips up just enough to get the therapy balls under there. And maybe you start here in this less pressure scenario, slowly giving your weight over to the therapy balls. And then after you're here for a few moments, after you've done a little bit of the rocking your hips from side to side to get the balls to roll away from the spine and in towards the spine, away from the spine and in towards the spine. After you've done this for a few moments, if you still want to go ahead and get up onto that block, you can. And then remember, you have the option of adding your pelvic tilts. Okay, you can do that wherever you are, those pelvic tilts. You can also do your hip hikes. put your explorer hat on and explore and find what feels the nicest. If you are lower to the ground and you want to play around with picking your left foot up off the ground, drawing the knee in, you can try that. See how that changes the sensation. If at any point you feel like you want to change up the pressure, you can switch up to the block or downgrade. You can also downgrade if you get there and you're like, ooh, I immediately regret this decision. Then that's fine. Get out of there. Remember that we want our body to feel safe. So a nice, kind touch, kind pressure is going to help our bodies to feel safe. And that's going to make our nervous system feel like, okay, we can settle down. We've got this. Okay, take another few moments here, and then we're going to move it up, headed to the shoulder blades, in between the shoulder blades. Oh, this feels good though. Okay, so wherever you are, let's get ready to move. So you're going to inhale to prepare, exhale, lift up just enough that you can unpack. And then set your body back down on the ground. Oh, take a full breath in and out. Maybe feel like you can breathe a little deeper. Take a little bit of a deeper breath. You can stay down on the ground, but I'm going to come up so I can show you where we're going. So we are going right up here in between the shoulder blades. So we still have our tethered balls, and this time they're going to go perpendicular to the spine. So you're going to end up with one ball on either side of your spine. So let's go ahead and get there. Whoa, I just threw my balls. So whatever's the easiest way to get there for you. And wiggle around until you get to a spot that feels nice there in between the shoulder blades. Now, this can be an intense spot. We carry so much tension in our upper back and shoulders. So if this feels too intense, you can stand up and lean against a wall and do most of the same stuff, okay? So that's a less intense option. So here you can kind of rock your body, and that's going to make the therapy balls roll towards your head and away from your head along the spine. You can also rock, moving one shoulder towards the ground and then the other shoulder towards the ground. So again, I'm going to offer you a few different ways to move. And you get to choose. You get to put your explorer hat on and find what feels the best. Ooh, that feels good. Remember, if you find a spot of interest, hang out there for a moment, take a breath in and out. Let it go. And then, again, you can roll to a slightly different spot there in between the shoulder blades and do those same things, that rocking motion, rolling up and down. You can also add some shoulder shrugs or shoulder circles. And you can go in both directions with that. You can feel everything shifting and moving in your upper back under the pressure of the balls there. And then another thing that you can do, your shirt might get tangled up. That's okay. Just have to unwind. So another thing that you can do is to bring your hands underneath your head and use your arm strength. Keep a soft neck and use your arms to pick your head up away from the ground. And so from here, you can again rock a little bit, and you can really get in between those shoulder blades. You can add the rolling with your head up. It's going to change the intensity feeling, the pressure feeling. And then if you have the therapy balls closer up towards your neck, you can just plant and hold there, and you can turn your head from side to side, because the roots of your neck are actually down here in between your shoulder blades. So turning your head from side to side, you should be tapping into some of those neck muscles. And again, one side might feel different than the other. So if you find a spot of interest on one side, take a breath in, let it out. Maybe you add the shoulder rolls back in. Maybe you feel some speed bumps that you're going over. That's okay. Speed bumps in your back, it doesn't mean that you're like a wreck, okay? You're fine. Your body's probably just fine. The way that your muscle feels doesn't necessarily mean that something is wrong or that you need to, alter your life. Okay. Oh, I could do that all day. I don't know about you, but for the sake of time, let's move it up to our last spot here. We're going to go right up to the base of the skull. So reach back, get your therapy balls out. I apparently ripped a hair out while I did that. Okay, so here you're gonna lift up your head, and you're gonna put those therapy balls right under your skull, right under the base of your skull, that ridge where if you feel along down to your hairline, you can feel where the bone, the hard bony part stops and the fleshy part starts. And so you can use your hands to secure the balls in place, and you can turn your head from side to side, saying no. Just say no to that unnecessary tension. You can say yes to stressing less. I just can't help it. When something rhymes, it's just so fun. You can move your head in a circle and the other way. As you're going, if you feel like because of the pressure of your head and the stretchiness of your socks, if the therapy balls are moving away from one another, just kind of squeeze them back in. Explore, find what feels good. Again, if you find an interesting spot, deep breath in, big sigh out. Let it go. Okay. So you can spend as much more time here as you want. If you want to continue working on your neck, or you want to revisit one of the parts that we already did, or if you want to continue exploring and find other interesting places that need a little nice from your therapy balls, you can do that. Or you can set a timer and lay down and relax and feel and absorb all of the nice things that you did for your body here on the mat today. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you next time.